What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy, and I'm going to be flying solo today. We're going to be going over the 2026 NFL Draft prospects and just kind of doing a stock up edition of this. But I do want to, preface this. I'm actually going to talk about every prospect that I've looked at because I like the idea of everybody getting to know all of these names, all of these prospects. I'm going to give a very small snippet, probably 20, 25 seconds on each individual prospect. And then we're going to have our actual stock up players, or we're going to spend a little bit more time because those guys have been just so good. I want to make sure I really highlight them. But at the same time, I want y'all to know these names. I want y'all to get a little bit of a background on some of these guys because you might not watch Utah play at 9:30 against Cincinnati and not get that opportunity to watch those guys play. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to start off. This is the offense, so we're going to do all the offense. We're going to start with the quarterbacks, and I'm going to pull it up now. We're going to get going. One big thing about the quarterback position is it got flipped on its head. None of the names that you expected at the top are going to be there, and we're going to some new guys. So starting off, Lenore Sellers, he's a guy that actually stayed at the top and, is the only guy probably that didn't flip from the top to the bottom. Looking at him, he is such a good athlete, such a, top level athlete, but the problems are he still lacks his accuracy. He's got the insane upside, of course, but he should probably come back to school. He is a junior and redshirt sophomore. That's how we're going to do this. We're going to do juniors, redshirt sophomores together. Then we're going to do redshirt juniors, and then guys that have to graduate and have no more eligibility. So we're going to break it up into that. So kind of exactly where what these guys could do because there is so much money being made NIL wise back in school. This guy right here though with Lenoris, he's a probably should come back to school. He needs to continue developing. I think he's a first round athlete and prospect. But if he goes back to school and continues to develop, he's probably the number one overall player and fighting for that number one overall spot in next year's class, which next year's class is very deep and very good. But I just think the offensive line that has been terrible for them. And he could either go back to school at South Carolina or he could transfer somewhere else. But that would be my best interest for him. Otherwise, I think he's probably going to go top 10 still. But I just wish he needs to develop some more, in my personal opinion. The next guy is going to be Sam Levitt. And Sam Levitt, unfortunately, has an injury where he's going to miss the rest of the season. I expect him to come back because of the junior status. He's got some inaccuracy issues. He had a 69.6% adjusted accuracy percentage. So that kind of, isn't good enough in my personal opinion. Kenny Dillingham is a guy that's floating in names of possibly leaving Arizona State. Maybe he goes with him, Sam Levitt, to one of these bigger schools because there's a lot of schools opening coaching jobs. And I expect him to probably come back and be a 2027 first rounder with just another year under his belt. And I think that's probably the best thing for him. And of course, he is losing his number one receiver after this year in Jordan Tyson. So we'll see how he adjusts to that. But that's the first two guys, the juniors. These are the guys that I think have they have a lot of talent coming in. The next guys are going to be the redshirt juniors. And so you start off with Josh Hoover. Josh Hoover out of TCU. He is a guy that, without watching him and just thinking about how TCU was playing early in the year, I was like, oh, this is probably a guy I'm going to like. And then I watched this film and I was like, dang, he just doesn't have the elite traits that I wanted to see. He is a draft climber overall, but I just wish he would have, shown off those elite traits. And I just don't think he has that elite arm talent that we want. 73.8% adjusted completion percentage, which is on the lower end of what we want to see. So he could be a guy that could come back to school. Also, I want him to turn into a game manager. Right now, he's a gunslinger that isn't that great at it because he doesn't have that full arm talent like we talked about. So I would love to see him turn into a game manager if he wants to play at the next level, basically. The next guy up is going to be Jaden Mayava. Jaden Mayava out of USC. I really like Jaden Mayava. 7.0% big time throw rate, which is insane number. Really good. One of the biggest and most pro ready arms. So he will probably be one of my guys that's much higher on my board, or everybody else will be like, oh no, this guy's legit, and then everybody will catch that. But right now, I would consider him one of my guys and my sleepers in this draft. He's just an insane NFL throws, an insane arm. Got really good receivers to help, but I think he just makes all of the throws. He makes some poor decisions, though. We saw some of that this last week against Nebraska. So I want him to get better at that, but I think, he is legitimate arm talent, and I really like him as a football player. The next guy is John Mateer. Sorry. So many J's on this board. But John Mateer was our dark horse coming into the year. And he had looked just so good until he got injured before the Texas game, and then coming back for the Texas game, I don't think was the best decision. I think that injury is holding him back overall. He was a Heisman hopeful, and I think he's probably in that 6 to 10 range right now. Quarterbacks, he could come back also and just get another year in an offense, play on that NIL money basically, and then go to the pros after that. But he does have some of those weird things where he throws on the sidearm angle, and is not as tall and as big as some of the other guys, but he has that just athleticism to take off. His actual accuracy is not that great, so I want him to see him improving that, and that would be a really good reason to come back also. Next up is Brendan Sorsby out of Cincinnati. Cincinnati has looked great. If you're following college football, they are much better than what was expected of them. And this guy's a big reason of that. He's a huge stock up candidate. Some people have him as top 5 quarterback on their board. I'm not there yet, but he did do really well up to the Utah game, which he played on Saturday night. 7.1% big time throw rate, 1.4% turnover worthy plays. He is putting this team on his back basically. And so he is a guy that I just can't overlook. I just want more film. I want to see him do more. He's kind of in that 10 to 12 range right now for me, and I'm not comfortable with it. I just don't know what to do with him because I just don't think he's technically ready. I do think that, obviously these numbers are awesome and it's good to see. So that means he can do it. I just want to see a little bit more from him. Next up is going to be our seniors and graduates. All of these guys have to come out after this year. First, starting off, Cade Klubnik, stock down. There's a few stock down guys on this list, but was first quarterback expected to be taken last year. Coming into the season, not last year. Rewatching his film, he's fine. I don't think that he's bad by any means. I just don't think he's special. And this Clemson team, kind of needs a special player at the quarterback position, and we were hoping he turned into that, and he just never did. So that's kind of my problem with him. Drew Aller injury with no eligibility is a really tough thing to get through. And he's just been disappointing. I think mentally he's a marshmallow, and I think he has all the arm talent in the world. And I really was like, maybe he'll take that step. And I kind of bet on him taking that step earlier in the year. I was wrong. Think Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson had some arm talent, insane arm talent, and then it's like, oh well, he just is mentally unable to play it at a high level. Next guy is Ethan Kaliak-Manis out of Rutgers. Issues with accuracy. He's had issues with accuracy all 3 years, but he's actually gotten a lot better. This is an improvement, and it's barely 70% at 70.4% adjusted accuracy. His biggest problem is he just gets sacked. His sack conversion rate is 26.8%, by far the highest on this board. One of my problems is just like, I don't know that I think he can ever be a true starter in the league. Maybe a backup, but the problem is there's a bunch of floor backups in this class that I'd rather take than him. And that's not to say that he's bad, but I just think he's probably in the like 200 to 300 prospect ranking range, and I'm just not going to get to him probably. Next guy is Luke Altmaier. A little bit more refined, but still just that floor game manager. And I'm not I don't want to take a game manager between the four, like on day 3. I'd rather take someone with high upside on day 3 that can possibly play at a high level if he just like it all clicks. Think Joe Milton if his situation all clicks basically. And so Luke Altmaier, floor player, game manager, no extra intangibles, not going to do anything crazy. He keeps the ball safe, but he also does not make big time throws, like at all. So that's my problem with him. Garrett Nussmeier, he, of course, we overrated him coming into the season. He never should have been as high stocked as he was. That's just the case because he has no extra intangibles as an athlete. Now, his arm is really good. He's got an insane, get the ball out quickly, 2.49 seconds, high adjusted passer rating. High adjusted completion percentage at 76.6%. Doesn't have the high intangibles though, so he's probably the top game manager in the class right now, in my opinion. There's like other guys that are above him that are have some more upside than him, but as a game manager, I think he's my favorite game manager in this class. He'll probably be top 100 for a lot of people. I don't know where we're going to land on that, but he'll probably be in that range. So I like Garrett Nussmeier in a way that, like, if I needed to get him in round 3, 4, that would be a perfect spot. I just don't know that he won't go earlier than that because quarterbacks get pushed up. The next guy is Baron Morton. He's an older prospect. I actually liked his film though. He's kind of got backup written all over him, and I kind of like that. If you're a team drafting later, and I know I just said, oh, don't take the floor guy in the late rounds, but like he actually has could play for you. 79.7% completion, adjusted completion percentage, really high. 2.62 time to throw, not going to turn it over at all. And I'm actually impressed with his film. I know he's playing for Texas Tech and they've been killing everybody. But I actually was really impressed with his film. I thought that it was a lot better than I was expecting coming from a guy that was a little older. But I think he has way more arm talent than some of the other guys on this list. I think he can make big time throws. And so I would actually bet on him before some of the other guys on the list. Bo Prabula, back into, I'm so sad for Bo because I was actually kind of one of those guys that I was like, hey, maybe you could get him because he's got the athletic upside. He's not going to do the arm. He doesn't have the arm talent to play at the NFL level, really. But he has the athletic upside. He needs to take care of the ball better. But then he gets injured, and it's season ending, and probably going to really affect his draft cycle. So I think that that's the biggest problem. I can't see him. Someone would have to really want to bet on his athletic upside and intangibles as a runner and mover in the pocket. And I just don't know that that'll happen after he gets injured like this and not getting an opportunity to do it in front of scouts. Next guy is going to be Carson Beck. Look, Carson Beck looked awful against Louisville. It's the first game I watched, and 4 interceptions. I mean, just throwing the ball when he didn't need to. He's also, whoops, sorry guys. He's also a game manager. He's kind of got that like style to him, and I wish he needs to be a game manager. And right now he wants to be just like this gunslinger. And I'm like, dude, you're not the number one overall pick. You're not the predicted number one overall pick anymore. You need to be a game manager. Doesn't have big time throws. And he's still falling down boards because of it. But there are some things that he does well. And I think that people are going to like him and put him in the top 10 quarterbacks. And that might also be us because he just still has the arm talent to do a lot of things that maybe some of these other guys just can't do. And so as long as you can get his mind right and make him make the right decisions, you're going to do a lot better with getting a Carson Beck than some of these other guys that have a lot less upside. Now, the biggest upside guy on this list is Taylor Green. I love this guy. Most interesting prospect on the board for sure. Grades are all over the place. You're going to see him falling out of the draft completely. You're going to see him in the second round. But he's just a freaky athlete with rushing upside. Best season yet by far. He has way too many turnover-worthy plays, but they play from behind so much. I'm like, man, like give him a little bit of grace because he has to almost force it sometimes. 74.0% adjusted passer rate percentage, 89.5 overall grade. Don't overlook this guy going in the second round to a team and sitting behind a starter for 2 years. Think Jalen Milroe, how he did. He's doing that behind Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold looks great. He went 15 for 15 before throwing an incompletion last night, I believe. So, yeah, like he has that type of upside, and I just want to see him go to the right situation. That's my biggest thing is like Taylor Green, please go to the right situation. Sawyer Robertson, one of the hardest guys for me to talk about because I just don't know how. I don't know how to figure him out. He has the highest. He starts off the season with 2 400+ yard games against good teams. He has the most yards per game in the nation, and then he has a 68.2 adjusted completion percentage. And I'll tell you what, I don't think he's accurate. I think that is my biggest problem with him, and I think that there are so many bad throws accompanied with like just deep balls that look great. So my biggest thing is he cannot throw the ball between 0 and 15 yards at the NFL level. And I cannot bet on a guy like that. And that scares me. So there are some guys that want to push him up boards because he just has some intangibles that are really great. But it's hard for me when I'm like, hey, like I can't see him throwing an NFL out route. There's just no way he can throw an NFL out route to the field. Now he's got the arm talent for it, but I just think he's going to miss it by 2 yards left or right, and it's going to be picked off and taken back to the house. So that's my biggest problem. The next guy, best story of the year, Trinidad Chambliss. Austin Simmons gets injured for Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss comes in, and now he's a Heisman hopeful. Love that story. Quarterback story of the year for sure. Transferring up from Ferris State, where he was the Heisman at that level, and now he is doing really big things. But the problem is he still plays in a Lane Kiffin offense. They don't ask him to push the ball down the field, and I don't think he can. 6 foot, 200. Some issues with just his size already make that problem, but then also on top of that, I don't know that I think he has upside to play at the NFL level. I think he's just a really great college quarterback and really fun because he's just got the grit that you want to see as a college quarterback. Next up is our stock up guys. That was all the quarterbacks. That was a lot. Next up is stock up guys. Fernando Mendoza is the main guy that we're going to talk about. And he's a guy that I think is our quarterback one right now. If I had to make a choice, he makes the outside the umbrella throws look easy. Just 6'5", 225, and he can throw the ball all over the field anywhere you want to. And that's just cool to me. That's just so cool to me. 236 yards per game, 25 or 4 for touchdown interception. He does not have to play the whole game. They run the ball well. They beat the hell out of people. But the 79.5% adjusted percentage and the 2.56 time to throw is the best part of him. I think that big time throw rate is inaccurate in my personal opinion. He made some massive throws against teams. And Oregon, when he was playing Oregon, he had so many big time throws in my personal opinion that were probably not counted by PFF. That he deserved them. So I'm going to say that number should be higher. He does a lot of big things, and that's why he's jumped so far into the top 10 of most every draft, basically, mock draft. Next up is going to be Ty Simpson out of Alabama. Alabama, after week 1, has been the best, if not the second best team in football. 76.9% adjusted completion percentage. He's probably the like baller of this class. Like he is like, I'm going to just send it. And that's why he's 273 yards per game. He has a much higher big time throw rate, but also higher turnover worthy plays because he just is the gunslinger. Now, the problem is, no problem. Just kidding. The big thing is he makes NFL throws every single week. Every week he has an NFL throw that goes on film. And that is why he is just so good. It's like, okay, well, I can see right now why he is being talked about as one of the best players in this class is because he makes NFL throws every single week. And if you need clarification, go look at his highlights. They're there. Now, the regular throws, he also does well. So he's probably playing the best football of any of the players at quarterback in the nation right now. And he's just been really special. Next up is going to be Dante Moore. Dante Moore, 6'3", 206, really young, could come back. He's a junior. He has got a 79.6% adjusted completion percentage. They do a really good job at Oregon to get guys open, 7.5% big time throw rate. That is just, he's a lot of people's number one guy, and I completely get it because the arm talent, it's all there. The arm talent is insane. And we talked about this in the preseason. Like he was one of our biggest like question marks coming into the year. And it's because just like he hasn't played, but arm talent is undeniable. Personally, I think he should go back, but there's no way he will because he's going to go top 5. And you don't have to. But him and Ty Simpson don't have enough starts under their belt. I'd love to see them start some more games. Oregon's offense doesn't, have him make that many NFL throws, in my opinion. But at the same time, he just makes every throw, and he can make every throw anywhere across the field. And that's why he's so good, and that's why he's such a big riser. Of course, playing for Oregon, that helps, national stage and stuff. But he has just been insanely good and definitely deserving of being a top 10 player. Next up is going to be the running backs. This is the junior running backs, a lot of them on this list. I'm going to run through them pretty quick. First, I have Bryson Washington from Baylor. Wasn't overly impressed with his film. Doesn't have the burst I thought he would, and he's not super elusive. I think he should go back to school, obviously, because he's can and could improve his draft stock overall. CJ Baxter, he's got the injury bug, and he's all power, no hips. He has a 31.5 elusive rate. He doesn't make people miss. He just tries to go through them. And I would just like to see him play a season where he's fully healthy. I was not as high on CJ as our counterpart Cam. I know Cam loves CJ, and I get it because he's just so big and so like physically gifted. But I actually like Trey Wisner a little bit more, and that's just because Trey Wisner has some of those other shiftiness things that maybe you want at the NFL level. Now CJ will play for an NFL team and be some sort of like bruiser back, but I just hope it's not this year. Darius Taylor, look guys, it's not a very fun watch to watch Darius Taylor. A lot of people want to push him up. They wanted to push him up last year. I just wasn't high on him, and I still am not, and I think people are starting to lower him, which is great because I'm like, goodness. Lacks burst and athleticism. Like that's just not something I'm gonna be excited about. He's a straight line runner, and that's it. And so I'm just not as high on Darius Taylor. I think that the consensus is starting to come down on him. But yeah, he's a guy that we need to talk about in general. Next guy is Hollywood Smothers. This is one of the stock up candidates. He's been so good. He's extremely elusive, and 166.2 is his grade for elusiveness. That's awesome. Constantly makes the first guy miss, and he's just he's a like good movement athlete. Problem is he's small, and I think that can be an issue. But at the same time, I would expect him to come back. But this is such a bad class of running backs overall that he probably will go and probably will get drafted as one of the top 5 running backs in this class because he is such a good athlete. So I think that that's important. Jaheim White, injury. So he's going to be coming back to school. I bet he transfers because he did get injured, and West Virginia just sucks. So I think Jaheim White will probably be on a different team next year. I think he's a big watch for the 2027 draft. So pay attention to that. The number 1 running back in college football is Jeremiah Love. He has Bijan-esque movement. I think that he's a good pass catcher. He's great with balance and vision. He's never tackled by the first guy, and he's the only running back that will be picked in the first round this season, and completely deserving. I think he's been great. He breaks off massive runs all the time. Just really, really good player. The next guy, LJ Martin, a guy I like a lot. I actually really like him. But he runs upright a little bit too much. He's great inside the tackles. He is that big bruiser back that you want. And, I don't think there's very many of those in this class. So he could be a guy that finds a way onto a team much earlier than expected because I don't think there's really a big bruiser back that's better than him that will come out if he comes out. Different style than almost everyone in this class, like I said, though, which is really good for someone like this. Justice Haynes, super stock up candidate right here too. Transferring from Alabama to Michigan. Best decision he could have made. 7.4 yards per carry. One of the best in first contact distance. That means when he's getting hit for the first time, he's already past the line of scrimmage 2-3 yards downfield. And then sometimes he's already 15, 20 yards downfield also. But just his average distance is not in the backfield. And that has an issue. Some of these guys have an issue with that because their offensive line isn't so good. Michigan's offensive line, maybe not as good as it's been in the past, but as a run blocking offensive line, they are really good. Justice Haynes is completely taking advantage of that. I think there's a little wiggle in there, but it's not my favorite wiggle, if that makes sense. I think he has some upside. I think he probably will come out and be one of the first guys drafted. I just don't know how high we'll be ranking him necessarily, but I think he's good at. I think he's good at football, and he might end up top 100 basically. Mark Fletcher, not my favorite film. Not my favorite film. He is just a big bruiser back with no intangibles. So I think that's the problem for me. Size is the only thing that he has, and it's a downgrade from Damian Martinez last year. And I think that Mark Fletcher should come back truly, and maybe improve his stock by playing a little bit better than this. Next guy is Trey Wisner. Trey Wisner out of Texas. I told you the UT injury bug is a thing. It is, but Wisner, when he plays, he is so hard to tackle, and he's an undersized back that is hard to tackle. When he gets in space, he makes people miss. His one cut ability is really good. I think he should come back to school and double with CJ Baxter, CJ, Trey, and Arch next year, But if he doesn't, he can come out. I think that, draft process wise, he should probably go back because he can improve his stock. But I really like him as a football player. Watching him play, I don't know if it translates to the NFL level because he is smaller, but I think that, he has some intangibles that are pretty solid. Next guy, one of my favorite guys. This is my favorite guy. Actually, this is my guy. I don't think anybody's talking about him, and this is the thing. Waymon Jordan, one of my favorite running backs in this whole class. Maybe he's not ranked higher than some of them, but this is probably my guy. 5.15 yards after contact, which is crazy. 184.2 elusive rating, just bonkers. This is how I kind of describe him. He's compact, explosive, and elusive. So I think people are missing the mark on him, and he's not a stock up candidate because it's not consensus, but he is currently running back 2 for us. I think that I would just, put him right behind Jeremiah Love in my personal opinion. And that's, probably a really weird take because I don't think anybody's talking about him. Everybody's talking about Justice Haynes, and everybody's talking about, some of these other guys, and it's like Hollywood Smothers. It's like, no, this is the guy. I don't think anybody's watching him enough because transfers up. He's been great. I really like Waymon Jordan. All right, next up is going to be our senior class, seniors and graduates. First one is Damon Claiborne. I really like Damon Claiborne too. Explosive, good receiver. I think he's got some of those wiggles that you like to see, and he can run inside and outside the tackles, which makes him very versatile. I think he's one of those guys that I'm going to be like, hey, this is probably a top 100, top 120 guy that we need to really talk about and look at as a guy that could find a way onto a 1B position on an NFL roster. Next up is Desmond Reed, the best pure the best pure receiving back in the class. Insanely elusive, third down threat, but not going. He's just not a guy that's going to have a big role in an offense. But you can use him as the perfect gadget guy because he's 5'8", 175, and that might be generous, honestly. But as a gadget guy, when he catches the ball and he gets going, I mean, he is insanely elusive and hard to stop. So you just have to, think about Desmond Reed as like, hey, he might not be a true running back, but he's got some intangibles that you're like, I could deal. This is fun. It's a lot of fun. Next up is going to be Jamari Taylor. He fits the mold of like that older, strong running back, not going to offer any extra intangibles. Could be the older guy that comes in and gets tough runs. And I think that that's an absolute, like, he needs to play on that because he runs downhill, he runs hard, he, carries defenders. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. I don't know that he has extra intangibles, but he's going to be, a possible guy that gets on a team and like, you're like, hey, here's the rock on the 5-yard line, 4-yard line, 3-yard line, all the way in. And he can do that stuff. Next up, sad day, guys. This is our running back dark horse, Jamal Haynes from Georgia Tech. Very disappointing. He's been outplayed by his backup that transferred from an Ivy League school. Haynes King is truly the RB1, and that hurts him as a player. But Jamal Haynes has not been nearly as explosive as I was hoping him to be, so I missed on this one. I saw some shades of players in the past that were really good, and I thought Jamal Haynes might be able to, build up to that, especially because I thought Georgia Tech was going to be good, and they have been. And he just hasn't done that. So that was one that we missed on, or I missed on. Next up is Jaden Ott. Guys, I told y'all he wasn't that good. Everybody wanted to say he was good. Some people were putting him in the top 100. He's not that good, and I told y'all. Injuries apparently made him worse, but 3.3 yards per carry and 3.2 yards per carry over the last 2 seasons. Like, that's awful. It's atrocious. And it's not like Oklahoma couldn't use his rushing upside. So, yeah, pretty bad. Next up is Le'Veon Moss. I like Le'Veon. I like him a lot. He's a grinder, and he will keep coming at you. Just keep like the Texas A&M motto of just like running down your throat until the fourth quarter and make you feel it is just so much fun. And Le'Veon is a huge reason that they can do that. 5'11", 210, and he always falls forward. He always makes you feel his body on you. He's not the craziest athlete by any means, but he is going to run inside, outside, inside zone, outside zone, be able to just get after it. And when he puts his foot in the ground and comes at you, you're going to feel it. He's going to try to run through your face. And we had a guy like that last year, like Kyle Monungai. And I just think, Kyle Monungai had a really good week this week, 198 total yards. Maybe Le'Veon Moss could find his way onto an NFL team and do something similar. Jonah Coleman. Yeah, Coleman came out hot, but he has recently cooled down a lot. He's kind of the consensus RB2 in this class, and I'm just not there. I think he's good at basically everything, but I don't think he's great at anything. This is a down running back class, but I like other guys' upside a lot more than Jonah Coleman, and a lot of people are like, no, Jonah Coleman. I'm like 5'9", 230, okay receiver, not a great, a vision, running back, like there's a lot of things that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if he can play at an NFL level and be as consistent as he's been. So that's my biggest problem. Now, Katron Allen, that's a grown man. That is the grown man. Jamari Taylor, grown man. Katron Allen is the grown man. He runs like it too. I mean, he runs like an old man, strong, not flashy, probably ices his knees constantly, kind of guy. But he goes to work with his lunch pail and he's going to try to, run through your face. Like, it's awesome to watch. He's just going to try to run through your face. Next up is Nick Singleton, most disappointing player on the running back list. stock down candidate, highly regarded as RB2 prior to the year. He has one 15-yard run on the year. One. And he has 3.6 yards per attempt. Like, just not good. Just absolutely terrible. And some people are still going to say he's a top 100 player. Production, guys. Production is way over prediction, in my personal opinion. We look at Shamar Stewart. He has one tackle on the year. Yeah, I think that we need more production out of Nick Singleton if we're going to take him that high, especially in the top 100 first 3 rounds, basically. Next up is Noah Whittington out of Oregon. Runs hard. He's going to be over 24 years old, though, and which is a hard sell unless you're the Texans, because they've taken 2 running backs in a row, 2 classes where they're 24, 25. Jahar Jordan and then Woody Marks back to back. So I just have a hard sell on that one, but I get it. I get it what people are looking at. Next up is our running back stock up player. It's got to be Jadarian Price. There's no way we can't. This guy's insane. He's the only redshirt junior. I don't know if y'all saw that there was no redshirt juniors. He's the only one. That's why there was none. The stock up candidate. He is not going to be overshadowed by Jeremiah Love. And this guy is an insane finisher. Like, the 99.9 elusive rate is really cool, but he is the guy that, like, if you want him to like run through players, he's going to do it. Run him through the line of scrimmage and guys are putting their arms out, he's not going to get tackled. He's going to run through those arm tackles. 6.1 yards per carry, but that 3.82 yards after contact is really great. And 8 touchdowns. I just really like this guy. He's got that low center of gravity at 5'11". He just runs hard every single play. And yeah, he's definitely the stock up guy for this class. I mean, he's just awesome. Next up, we're going to go over the wide receivers. And Antonio Williams starts it off. Still, I think he is a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 on the team. I had him as our dark horse. Plays exclusively as a slot receiver currently. Separates really well. Going to be a day 2 guy that has upside to be a number 2 to any number 1 in the league, basically, in my opinion. The next one is Carnell Tate, and he was possibly okay. First 2 guys are both dark horses, Carnell Tate and Antonio Williams. Now, Carnell Tate was possibly going to be the stock up guy. We kept him out because I think he was already kind of considered higher than I was anticipating when I made him the dark horse, because I do this before most people release their rankings. Ohio State wide receivers, man, block well, catch contested passes, great run great routes, and don't drop the ball. At this point, Carnell Tate is a better prospect than Emeka Egbuka, and we all can see what Emeka Egbuka is doing with his opportunities. Now, those are opportunities that he got because of injury, but if Carnell Tate, and Emeka Egbuka were in the same class, I'm actually taking Carnell Tate over Emeka Egbuka. 3.23 yards per route run. Insane. Next up is Denzel Boston. I think Denzel Boston is a first-round receiver, big play, X wide receiver, 16.1 average depth of target, 3rd in the nation, 62.5 complete contested catch rate, just great, 83.5 man grade, and he's just a high point catcher, guys. He's just good. He's a willing blocker. This type of wide receiver is hard to find with this much athleticism, is my thing, and that's why he will be a first-rounder. Deuce Robinson, X wide receiver again, 16.08 odd, so similar. Has some issues with press, always open on 3rd down though, and that's something that's always great. Strong hands, currently being overlooked by the draft community in my opinion. I think he's a top 100 player, and he should probably come back to school in my opinion. All these guys being juniors, most of them, the first 3 are going to be guys that we're going to talk about in the first round. Deuce Robinson might come back to school. Next guy, Eric Singleton from Auburn, probably should go back to school, maybe transfer again, because geez Louise, Jackson Arnold is worse than Haynes King. And I hate watching Jackson Arnold play, I swear. And that's why he got benched. Should come back to school. He, because he just needs to be able to show us what he can do. He's explosive as there is, but he's just not getting opportunities. He's got that 6.0 yards after catch, like just really solid. So I think he should go back to school, and it would be fun. Eugene Wilson, Trey Wilson. If anybody knows him from Florida, he's Trey Wilson. But this guy, absolutely deserving of, he needs to come back to school because he's an All-American type of player, possibly one of the best athletes in this class, and just isn't used because he's hated by Billy Napier, and then Billy Napier gets fired and he goes for like 150. The first game Billy Napier's not there. Like, this is one of the most electric players in football. He might have a new coach in Lane Kiffin if Lane Kiffin decides to go to Florida, or he might leave and just go play for Lane Kiffin wherever he goes. I don't know. But this guy is going to be a top 100 player, top 50 player, top first round player. and I need him. I want him to go back to school because he missed 2024 with injury, and he's missed some of 2025. Get a full season under your belt, and man, he could be so good. Ian Strong out of Rutgers, a guy that I was a stock up candidate, one of the best contested catch receivers in the class, does know how to separate, which is good. Saw some laziness. This is just an added thing. Saw some laziness when he wasn't getting the ball. When he was, when he was though, he was just a different person. Like when he wasn't getting the ball, he knew it, and then when he was, he's just two different people. So I want to see him get more consistent. He does some things that make me have reservations, but talent is just so undeniable with him. He'll probably be a top 50 player on our board. Jacoby Lane, stock up candidate, very smooth athlete for his size, mostly an intermediate to deep threat, considered an X wide receiver, but the new style X, kind of that Jamar Chase style X. Still want to see more film and development from him, but he is firmly in the top 100 players. He's really good at football, and he's firmly in the top 100 players. Next one of my guys, Kevin Concepcion, got the special shimmy shake, if you know what I'm talking about. Creative route runner, great at separating, great decision to leave Auburn, man. NC State, and a guy I'm going to have much higher than current rankings, most likely. I might have him a first round grade because he's that good, in my opinion. He's not getting that kind of buzz, but I think he deserves it. Next one is Zachariah Branch. Mel Kiper has him top 25. And I think it's all about his speed and explosiveness. He lacks size. He lacks, some of those other things but he's, when he catches the ball, it's like, where's he going? Because you got to get to him right now. Yak is exceptional elusiveness as elusive as it gets. Probably going to be stuck in the slot though. Uses his elusiveness and route running, hard to get hands on. I just think Branch is highly debated as a first rounder to end of day 2. Needs a perfect situation though, and that's something that I think has to be shouted out, because if you look at like Xavier Worthy, he went to a perfect situation for his skill set, because you lose Tyreek, you need to get a speedster. Xavier Worthy goes there, and then he catches 4 balls, but they're for 80 yards and a touchdown. That's the kind of thing I want to see with Zachariah Branch. He will actually catch some of those screens though and stuff, because he's a little bit thicker than Xavier Worthy, obviously, because Xavier Worthy's a twig. But yeah, I think that is the type of thing I want for him as a perfect situation. Next up, the number 1 wide receiver in college football, Jordan Tyson. This dude he's upside to be top 5 in the league, in my opinion. He just reminds me so much of JJ, Justin Jefferson. And that's I'm saying he reminds me of him. I'm not saying he is him or can be him. He could be him, truly. Routes, hands, flexibility, just like the ability to find smooth, silky, like he just is so good in his breaks and just finds open space. And I admit I was wrong for thinking this was a bad wide receiver 1 in the class. He is a legit wide receiver 1, in my personal opinion, for this class. So that is our only redshirt junior. But he will be coming out. He will be a top 5 player on my board, for sure. Next up, the seniors and graduates. There's some good ones here. Starting off, we have Chase Roberts out of BYU. He's not one of my favorite guys, but he has, some upside as like a late round guy that could find a way on a team. He's been a starter for a long time for BYU, so I think that he has some upside to just get on the field and stuff like that. But I would like to see him, kind of find his niche a little bit better. Bryce Lance. Sorry, I missed Bryce Lance. Apologies. Bryce Lance is plays at North Dakota State, where his brother used to play. And there is a lot of athletic upside, but there's a lot of question marks versus talent that he's playing, and upside in the way that he just isn't a great route runner yet. And there's some things that I just don't love, but if you're going to take a chance on a guy with this much upside, won't blame you. Won't be mad at you at all. The next guy is going to be Chris Bell. Chris Bell at Louisville, explosive athlete with a ton of upside. One of the stock up candidates for sure. Can have issues separating at times. Then other times he's just wide open. So it just depends on the play, I guess. One of the strongest 3-game runs between Pitt, Virginia, and Miami that I've seen from a receiver. He has some shades of A.J. Brown, just size, style, capable route runner of any route. And so I think that that's really good. I don't think he's got that same contested catch ability, but I think he's really good. And I think A.J. Brown would be probably a pretty solid, just like if you're eye test comparison. CJ Daniels out of Miami came away wanting more from his film overall. A lot of people really like him. I think that a lot of people have him top 100. Think the big play threat is there, needs to be more consistent. He has to be more consistent. And so that's my biggest thing with him. But I think that he has upside as a top 100 football player in this class. Dane Key, age and athleticism are just glaring issues with him. He's not a great separator. 1.32 yards per route run. Thought the move to Nebraska would boost him from leaving Kentucky, but I just think it did the opposite. I thought, this would help him because, now he's going to a much better team. And really, he hasn't used that opportunity. So I'm much lower on Dane Key than I thought I would be. Deion Burks, explosive athlete. Poor grades on PFF. I think that just is what it is. Sometimes they don't like certain player styles of play, but I think the separation by this guy is good. Has issues with his hands on. So if he's on press and stuff, but speed kills. Both a big play threat and a screen player. I think the speed kills, and I think he would be a really good in the slot at the NFL level. I actually have Deion Burks at top 75. So I think he's a legit player, and he has an opportunity to continue that with John Mateer. But he will be graduating this year. So Elijah Surratt on the other side there, he's a really good blocker. Winner. So just shows up when it matters. He is a winner. So strength, he just looks like a man among boys. Just strength. That's my biggest thing with him. He's one of the best possession receivers in this class by far. Kind of reminds me of the traits that you get from an Ohio State wide receiver. And, it's kind of funny coming from the Big Ten. He thrives in the red zone, and don't think he will be a wide receiver 1 on a team by any means, but super high-end wide receiver 2, and we always love having those guys. Kind of reminds me of Alec Iomaner from last year, but I think he's better. Has more athleticism and a better blocker, in my opinion. Better coached, to say the least, between Stanford and Indiana. So next guy up is Eric Rivers from Georgia Tech. Very talented player, bad offense for his talents. Eric Singleton leaves. This is a guy I'm going to bet on and have higher than others, though, probably. Really cool story, transferred up. Just a tough situation. He had 1,172 yards and 12 touchdowns at FIU last year, so we know he can make plays. Still should get drafted and is a sleeper to get NFL playing time, in my opinion. Just wish he would have gone somewhere other than Georgia Tech, basically, because it's just hard to use him. Next up is Jeremy Bernard. This is one of my favorite players in this class. Strong wide receiver 2 style, willing to block, run any route, do the dirty work, like very consistent hands, 0 drops on the year. Think he just basically has the favorite floor. He is one of my favorite floor players. He's probably going to end up in the first round, right at the edge of the first round, second round. He will be a starter on Sundays, but he may never make an All-Pro just because I don't know that he has that insane upside, but the floor is just, it's there. It's there. The floor is there. The next one is Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. I'm sorry. The next one is Josh Cameron out of Baylor. Josh Cameron is the counterpart to Sawyer Robertson, who we talked about a little bit earlier. I think that he's fine. I don't know that I think he's great by any means, but he's an okay football player that makes his quarterback look a little bit better than he probably is. The next one is Malachi Fields, typical Big X receiver. Don't think Notre Dame uses him enough, but don't think they necessarily have to because they're beating the hell out of teams. He's a good blocker with strong hands at the catch point. Everything is predicated on strength and frame. Currently an overlooked and forgotten player. A lot of athletic upside, though. So I think he's going to be a little bit higher for us also. Let's go over our stock up players. I'm trying to move as fast as I can because I know we still have 3 positions. And those are the smaller positions, so these next ones are going to be easier. Mekhi Lemon, stock up candidate by far. He has to be on here. He's been one of the most electric players in football. 3.64 yards per reception route run. Runs most of his routes from the slot, though, and I think he's top 10 in basically every category is kind of how I look at it. Very intelligent route runner, bends and finds openings in zone, just does a really good job as a route runner to get his quarterback, get his numbers to his quarterback and stuff like that. And then he also has some big play threats because he's caught some massive balls this year. So he's a guy that has to be talked about as a stock up guy, and he's just done really, really well this year. The next one is going to be Chris Brazzell out of Tennessee. And Chris Brazzell is one of the, true new X's. 6'5", 200 though, but he's still got that shimmy shake, the athleticism that you see from guys that are a lot smaller than him, which I think is really good. More impressed with his film than I expected to be. Shades of Mike Evans, in my opinion. I don't know that he's that good, but I think there are those shades. And he's way more fluid than previous X receivers that have played for Tennessee, like a Dante Thornton Jr. And Jalen Hyatt. But the 46.2 contested percentage, I wish would come up a little bit. And the 4% drop rate, not my favorite, but at the same time, he's just been so good at deep balls and catching passes over people. So, I mean, he's got a slew of highlights, and he's just been so good. He's going to be edge of the top of the first round, basically, in my opinion. But yeah, let's go over to tight ends. Man, I'm moving, guys, I promise. Jack Hendricks out of Texas, one of the safest floor prospects in this class, can run routes really well. Soft hands, was one of the number one target. He was the number one target for Fernando Mendoza in 2024 before he transferred from Cal to Texas, and has shown great run blocking this year. Shades of kind of that Mason Taylor from last year, not as redefined and like as good, but I think he's got that kind of in him. I think he should go back and play one more year though. Very young core. We just talked about both running backs. Arch, why not? Jack Hendricks come back for a year. So that's my thoughts on him. Lawson Lucky, I can tell you right now, this is my guy for the 2027 draft. I really don't think he should come out, but he is such a good red zone threat. 3 touchdowns versus Ole Miss. His athleticism and strength combination will be deadly. Just think about Freeling, Monroe Freeling, Lawson Lucky, and Stockton trio next year, because I think they should all come back. Next one up is Max Clare, one of the number one guys coming into the year. I think everybody kind of had him higher because of the fact that, he's leaving Purdue, he's going to Ohio State, and they thought, he was the best Purdue receiver, 51 receptions, 684 yards, and 4 touchdowns last year at Purdue. But the problem is now he's behind Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. But he's a really good nuanced route runner. He's a capable blocker. He's not my favorite blocker, but he's, got that Ohio State style where he's getting better. Needs to improve his overall lower body strength though. And he's fallen down boards, but I don't think it's justified. So I think that, he's the same player we saw last year. If you thought he was that guy, you should have kept him higher on your board. That's how I kind of look at it. Next up is going to be Terrence Carter. He's one of the undersized receiving types of receiving tight ends. I'm not going to be as high on him as some of the other receiving tight ends, is basically how this is going to go. He's not going to offer anything as a blocker, basically, which hurts his stock, of course. Really solid college player, but I don't know that in NFL he'll be able to do that. That was our only redshirt junior. So let's go over to the seniors. Daquan Wright, man, that's a big riser right there. One of my biggest risers on my board. Thought Luke Haas was supposed to be the guy. Incorrect. He will end up being a receiving type that will probably get drafted on day 3. The big number is the yards per completion, 18.4. That's huge. That's crazy for a tight end. One of the reasons Ole Miss offense goes, this guy right here. This is one of the diamonds in the rough with upside in the right system. Look at Oronde Gaskins, what he does for the Los Angeles Chargers. This is that kind of guy. He's not as good as Oronde, actually, as a receiver, in my opinion, but he has a little bit more run blocking ability than Oronde did. Next one is Eli Stowers, another guy. It's very similar with good receiver. Maybe not a great tight end. Athletic, creates mismatches, nuanced route runner, contested catch ability. He's just a big slot. Issues are no inline ability. His run blocking isn't there. His strength isn't there. 49.0 run block grade. He was a quarterback before he became a tight end, guys. Like, that's kind of how it works, right? I think most NFL teams, when they see him on the field, they're going to be like, this is just 10 personnel. We don't see this as 11 personnel. They didn't bring a tight end. So I think that's a big deal. Next guy, and he will go high. Eli Stowers will go top 3 rounds. Joe Royer, dark horse. Brennan Sorsby in Cincinnati would be nowhere without Royer. 0.0% drop rate, 10.3 yards after the catch, which is 3rd by all tight ends. 2.06 yards per route run, which is awesome. Big, physical, athletic in all aspects of the game. He was our dark horse. I still love him. Still needs to improve as an inline blocker, but has the frame to do it. And I think Joe Royer is legit. I think Joe Royer is a problem. Next up is Justin Jolie out of NC State. If you watch them, he had the touchdown where he was limping into the end zone for like 40 yards. It was crazy. Another receiving type tight end. Don't love that he did have that injury, though. Pretty solid one, though. Really good with the ball after the catch, which is what some of these guys lack. runs good routes, understands defenses really well, finds soft spots in zones and stuff, but not going to offer the blocking like we keep talking about. A lot of H-type tight ends in this class. Not wise, not a lot of wise where they're inline blockers. Jolie is a solid one, but I don't know that he's my favorite. He's going to be probably closer to the 200 range. Next up is Michael Trigg, one of the biggest risers in this class. Currently has the most receiving yards of any tight end. Baylor's jump ball threat. Makes circus catches routinely. Bails out his quarterback. Man, this is fun. I really love how we keep talking about Sawyer Robertson's players, making him better. Red zone threat. Unfortunately, he has issues with play strength and run blocking because you kind of just have to have that in the league. And we just see so many of these guys just don't have that right now. So that's how I feel about Trigg. One of the biggest risers in the class, though. Miles Kitselman, first thing he has to do is work on drops, 5 on 38 targets. That's terrible. He just hasn't put it together. He has a friendly quarterback, too. That's the thing. Like Joey Aguilar's good. The offensive line has been good. Currently, 17.2% drop rate, 25% contested catch rate, 55.7% run block grade, 0 deep catches. The stats cannot lie. And then, of course, you watch the film. They do not lie. It all shows up on tape. It really does. So not super high on him. Oscar Delp, 2025 NFL Dark Horse. The draft Dark Horse that we had. And that didn't work out. Obviously, he didn't play that well, but just an elite. He's just not as elite as a wide receiver, and he's underproductive. Personally, like teammate Lawson Lucky more, the one we talked about earlier, but he's a junior, and of course, Oscar Delp will be a senior. Even still has athletic upside. Think he could develop into a solid tight end too, but just right now, not as high as on him, and maybe that's just biased because he sucked last year. Pissed me off. Next up is Tanner Koziel from Houston. This is your typical H receiver tight end. Like, I think that this is one of those guys that is going to be hard for people to be like, I'd rather take Justin Jolie over him or Michael Trigg because this guy's 6'7". He has 2.57 yards per route run. He's done it for 2 years in a row. He has almost an 80% contested catch rate, first in the country with 15 contested catches. Last season, he had 26 with 65% contested catch rate. Exceptional route runner. I think he is a perfect mid to late round gem. Can find his way on the field because he's a mismatch nightmare. He's not like super athletic. He's not going to outrun people, but just his frame is a problem already. His frame is also a problem as a blocker because he doesn't bend that well, which makes sense. It just kind of gets in the way. I will have Koziel a lot higher than others though, as a whole. Next up is a pretty obvious dark horse. Obvious stock up player, and was our dark horse in Kenyon Sadiq. And people are like, "Oh, you can't be a dark horse." I'm like, dude, didn't even start. He was a backup to Terrence Ferguson last year, so don't want to hear that. Absolute dark horse. The size plus athleticism is just insane. He's a first round talent. He's built strong. Biggest thing that may be unexpected at his size is just he is a killer in the run game. He absolutely blocks his butt off. And I know that 57.3 run grade, well, go look at the film. It's just not even close. That new type of tight end that basically allows you to play anything. You bring 11 personnel in, and it's like, oh, this guy's going to line up an inline, slot, or backfield, as an H. He can do it all. And he needs to continue to add nuance as a route runner. That would be really good because he only has 22 receptions on the year. But right now he kind of just uses athleticism. But as he develops, and he's a junior, as he develops, he's just going to be insane. And that's why he was our dark horse. Next up is going to be our offensive tackle class. Woo, we're getting through it. What are we at? 54 minutes. All right, we're going to get there. Starting off with Emil Wagner, stock down candidate, struggled this season with run blocking, just a 58.2 grade, mostly due to his smaller build, probably not 300 pounds, which is crazy. For his size, you would expect athleticism to stand out, and it really doesn't. So that's another big problem for me. Played his best game recently against USC. I would expect him to return to school because he's a junior, but needed to improve. Caleb Lomu out of Utah, really good athlete, still seems raw, needs to improve overall strength, currently has a lot of pass blocking ability, lacks in the run game at times. Sometimes he's really good. It's just inconsistent. Really good chance to be a first rounder. Think he should go back to school, but he could be an end of the first round type of guy, and I don't think should be surprising to anybody. Spencer Fanu, one of our favorite guys in this class. Still love Fanu and his high athletic upside and build. Has slightly fallen down boards, not ours. So there's that. Not as overall dominant as he was in the past, though. Showed holes versus David Bailey and Romello Heights when they played Texas Tech. So did Lomo. They need to improve, but Fanu, watch him against Cincinnati, and you're like, okay, well, that's why he's a top 10 player. Next one's Caden Proctor. I think Caden Proctor could end up as a guard. Has inconsistencies on tape. Elite in some games, but then just bad in others. Could be age because he's so young, but also has to do with this bend and flexibility. I don't think he can bend that well. I don't love the feet speed. It's real slow, and it hurts him in pass pro. Not sure why he is catching screens and running the ball when he's not even the best athlete in the offensive line. When Parker Rose would say, so yeah, Alabama do weird things. Next up is Francine Malgoa. From Miami, Malgoa will have a shot at offensive tackle in the league. I'd expect him to. I personally think he could play guard at a really, really high level. As a run blocker, he has been elite, 84.8 PFF grade, strong base anchor paired with leg drive. I mean, he will just go pancake everybody. Pass blocking has never been his strong suit, and that's probably why I would think he could move to guard. And he's given up 2 sacks this year, so it's not like I'm saying something crazy. Top 10 picks don't give up sacks. Just saying. Monroe Freeling from Georgia has serious athletic upside. I think he should go back to school. I think he currently has the athleticism and not that top end strength. I want to see him get stronger. That's the biggest thing for me. I just love to see him get stronger. He looks like a twig out there sometimes. Has to improve his strength and base in the run game. Didn't love his film. Because feet stop moving at times, and that's just part of that, like coaching, strength, all those things. That's why I think he should go back to school. But I think he's a really good, like 2027 guy for sure. Trevor Gooseby from Texas giving up 2 sacks. Quarterback doesn't always help. Just saying. Think the athleticism is freaky. Think he could go back to school and compete for offensive tackle 1 next year. Down year compared to last year's expectations because he got to come in when Kelvin Banks got hurt or Cam Johnson. He's a starter in the league and he has the ability to pass block at a very high level, so he might be a top 10 player next year. Xavier Chaplin, not my favorite stock down candidate for sure. Currently has a 50.6 PFF grade. Expected him to be better at Auburn in the SEC. Not true. He should have stayed at school. Should have stayed at Val-Tech. That's how I look at him. Next up is going to be Jude Bowery. Unfortunately, BC has been awful because I don't think anybody's watched Jude Bowery, but he's really good. I'm actually a big fan of his. Needs to improve patience and pass blocking. Gets after it in the run game. I think he's just over. He's the same way in the run game as he's the pass game. He's just overextends and goes. Could be a guy we are higher on than consensus. And I also think he's a guy that could move to guard because he does so well in the run game. He's just, go. And so that's my thing because he does lack that pass blocking. I don't know that he can do the dance versus those edge rushers. So I think he might be a guy that moves inside. Cage Casey is a guy that a lot of people actually have moving inside overall. I think Ashton Jeanty made Casey's job a lot easier because he doesn't look nearly as good as he was last year. Could be a guard, but has more ability to stay at tackle. Size, length, strength as a run blocker. Think he can do those things. Don't think he's really exceptional anywhere. And I think he's a floor more than a ceiling player. Think the floor is good backup or under athletic starter at guard, basically. So that's how I feel about him. Next up is going to be Isaiah World from Oregon. Had high expectations coming into the season after transferring from Nevada. Hasn't really lived up to those, but he's still a good player. Massive human, 6'8", 318, crazy. Lacks athleticism at that size. Lunges and bends at his hips, which gets him off balance. Things that he needs to fix, like sink his hips a little bit better. Would expect him to be a better pass blocker than he has been, but he doesn't always have the anchor that I want to see. And it kind of shows up when a guy like Mikhail Kamara from Indiana goes at him because he's 6'1" and he's got that leverage. And then, the taller guy gets blown back over his feet. So want to see that improve, but I think he could be a guy that goes in the first round. Austin Barber. Barber is a stock down player. Expectations were pretty high for him, which I didn't really see coming into the season. And he continues having issues against NFL edges. Take Miami. Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor, both of those guys had a field day. Cassius Howe, he had a 0.0 pass grade when he went against Cassius Howe in Texas A&M. being an older prospect, this was supposed to be his year to stand out, and the opposite has happened. I'm so sorry that your coach sucks and left and got fired, and that's how it goes sometimes, you know. But yeah, like I mean, Austin Barber's got to get better. Blake Miller has to get better. My gosh, I thought maybe this was the year that he was going to have that. Like he was our dark horse because I thought he was going to add that strength in his lower end, and he just can't do it. He has no functional strength in his lower end. Miller just hasn't figured out how to put it all together. And the athleticism is kind of going to waste because it's all there. The athleticism is there. It's just you can't pick him because he doesn't have that strength. He gets blown off the ball. He can't move inside. Yeah, it's tough. He's the biggest boom bust prospect in the class to bet on that. Finally, him finally becoming stronger. Next up is Caleb Tiernan from Northwestern, one of the best pure pass rushers in the class. Really liked him coming into the year. The NFL is built on guys that can pass block, and he has an 87.2 pass block grade. Like, he's legit. Tiernan is going to be a high pick in the draft, probably the end of the first round, where we had him in our first mock draft. He needs to continue improving as a run blocker and functional strength. We keep talking about that. Drew Shelton out of Penn State. I think he's been better than he's getting credit for because Penn State's been so bad. This is his best year yet, but I don't think he offers anything elite by any means. I think he should be a day 3 guy, and then also I think he could move into guard. He's only I think he's 6'5". I think he could move into guard just because I think he does lack some of that pass blocking. Who was it? Arvell Reese made him look silly in their game, and he's made a lot of people look silly. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of that problem of I don't think he can block elite edges. And so I think he'd be a guard. Folalele Fa'amu from Wake Forest is this is a player I hadn't watched prior to the season. His overall grades have been terrible. If you just look, 58.1 overall PFF grade, 53.9 run grade, 63.7 pass grade. I actually don't agree with those grades though. I think he moves pretty well, at least well enough. I think he's aggressive. Overall, my take on him is he tried to do too much and he gets himself in trouble. I don't think that those grades are warranted for that, just to put him in the 50s. I think he's probably like, high 60s, low 70s. But he just doesn't have super insane upside. And I think, he's probably a day 3 guy if he does get picked. And, he's going to try to work in and be a rotational offensive lineman. JC Davis, on the other hand, is going to be a very good football player. Another guy that could project at guard because he's, been there and being heavier, you can see he is a little heavy. He has that heavy footedness, which plays into guard. I think he would be good on the interior though. Don't love his foot drive overall. Not as aggressive as I want my offensive lineman. He's probably going to be a top 100 player overall, but I want to see that aggressiveness and that switch come out. Needs to work on his pad level overall. As much as he's gone up boards, he does have limitations that hold him back from being a top 75 player, say. Might end up in the end of the 3rd round, basically. Next up is Trey Zune. A lot of people are mocking him as a guard also, but I think he's been really good as a tackle. Pass blocking is his absolute strong suit, and he does really well out there. Great base and power, strong hands, 95.1 PFF pass block grade, like perfect damn near. And not a great athlete, but has a ton of really good technique. And I mean, the age makes sense. He's been a long time starter. That's why, these things all kind of like fall in place with his technique and stuff like that. But yeah, I think he's really good. And I think he could stay at tackle. Next up, stock up candidate is Carter Smith. 0 sacks, 0 hits, 4 total pressures. Has played against Oregon's Mateo Uyunglele, Iowa's Max Llewellyn, and Iowa's Gabe Jacques. In those points throughout the year, he has a 92.8 pass grade against those guys. I think he could end up as a guard, but that's due to his build more so than anything. Shorter, stocky arms. I think he has the ability to play tackle at the NFL level, and I think he might want to start there. He's possibly one of the best floors in this class, and pass blocking exceptional, and that's what the NFL wants. If you go to a team that throws the ball a lot at the NFL level, maybe they do move him to guard. Maybe he is the savior for Miami. But, I think that truly he has that pass blocking ability. He's actually been really good in the run blocking. He's a big reason why Indiana's been so good. And they just have such good coaching, man. Their development is crazy. And Carter Smith has been just great. So, yeah, I think he's a guy that, we need to watch out for, moving up boards even more. Next up is going to be our interior offensive line, our juniors, redshirt sophomores. Starting off, a guy that I didn't even know the name of until literally, I don't know, 4 weeks ago. Austin Sierreveld. Oh my gosh, stock up candidate. Absolutely, he played a guard last year. 62.5 grade, 3 sacks and 8 hits/hurries. Plays left tackle this year. He has an 81.5 grade with 0 sacks and 6 hits/hurries so far. I really love what he does in the run game. He is a people mover with leg drive and strong hands. And his ability to pass block on top of that at left tackle, just, I mean, if you just want to talk about how, you had, oh my gosh, Donovan Jackson last year played for them, and then he moves out to tackle when Josh Simmons gets injured, and he just plays really well. Like, this guy has that ability too. Think he could sneak into it almost all the way up to day one or day two consideration. Like, he's definitely day two consideration in my opinion. So big mover. Didn't make our stock up list, but there's because there's two other guys that did a really good job. Caden Green from Missouri played left guard both of the last 2 seasons for them. Then he moved to left tackle this season. Don't think he's athletic enough to stay at tackle. They run the ball a lot at Missouri, so it kind of made up for that. He had a good game against Auburn. Looks the part, if that makes sense. He's just a mauler finisher style. One of the best interior offensive linemen in this class. Just gets after it, and I really like him. Next up is Chase Pasantes, big stock up candidate because he was not really talked about prior to the year. I didn't actually watch him prior to the year, and he's just been great. Good old interior offensive line class. One of the best pass blockers in college football, period. Good at the point of attack, power, hands, and foot drive are just all good. And he can displace players. Like, this is a good interior offensive line class. I know a lot of people don't care about interior offensive line. Well, we do. Games are won in the trenches, and this is where we're going to find him in this class for sure. I think he lunges too often and can miss with his hands every once in a while, but he's really good. Another one, Connor Liu, another guy that's really good. Personally, wasn't as high on Connor Liu during the offseason. Some had him as a first rounder. That's ridiculous to me. He's a very safe player. He has body control and athleticism that some of the other guys don't have, which are the intangibles that you want. Need to see him take the step up against good competition. The rest of Auburn's offensive line isn't helping him, though. I mean, geez, they're bad. Don't love that he tore his ACL, and so that may be a reason he goes back to school. Yes, he did get injured, and he might go back to school. Next one, oh man, Iapani Lalulu. We're going to call him Pancho. From Oregon, his power and athleticism, wow. Yeah, his leverage is key, right? This guy is shorter, but he gets under people in the run game and gets after it. He's very athletic, and some issues against power rushers, but he just doesn't do as well against them because he's not as good going backwards as forward. But he can play. The dude can ball. He's a day two talent. He's going to be a top 5 interior offensive lineman, top 10 interior offensive lineman for sure. And I'm really excited about him. Just to see how his season ends overall. Next up is going to be redshirt juniors. First up is going to be Brian Parker, the second from Duke. He actually plays tackle, and he might go all the way to center. And we've seen that before from Duke players. Graham Barton plays for Tampa Bay. He moved from tackle to center, so that's not scary or crazy to them. Almost ended up as the stock up player on this board. Currently plays offensive tackle, like I said, with a PFF grade of 91.9, which is first among all offensive tackles, not interior offensive linemen, tackles. High grades are due to technique, great hands, feet to move defenders. I want to see him improve his overall strength and overall size to move to interior offensive line. Also, his bend at his hip, he bends at his hips too often and leans a little too much for me, but so he's not an elite athlete, and that's why I couldn't make him the stock up player when there are some elite athletes that are going to play this position. Next up is Parker Bredsford. He is an elite athlete, but the problem is Parker Bredsford is 6'2", 290, and so he has above average athleticism, but he lacks the little weight in his pants. With that being said, surrenders power and anchors for speed and athleticism, but not sure if it works in this situation. Not always works, if that makes sense. I liked him a lot over the summer, but I constantly question, can he hold up in the NFL? Like, he needs to put 10 pounds on, 20 pounds on. I'm just not sure because he looks small out there. I mean, he might have a six-pack, Issue is really like the talent is there, but he's more of a March player to me. I want to see, you know, I want to see him at the combine. I want to see him do other things before I'm just comfortable. I want to see him next to other guys that are going to play in the NFL. And of course, you see that every day when he plays at Alabama. But I mean, like, I want to see him in an athletic setting where he can thrive and see what the differences really make out. Next up is Wendell Moe from Tennessee. Really good pass blocker, good feet, good anchor. I want to see him improve in the run game. Need to improve his first step a lot. He kind of catches. And going backwards when you're a pass blocker, sure, that's fine. You can catch. But going forward, I need him to come out of his stance and get after it. And that's something I don't think he does well yet. Next up, seniors. Armand Reed Adams. Oh, man. Stock down candidate. And he's still a mauling run blocker. This is where he's happy when he gets to run block. But he cannot pass block. Oh, my gosh. He's terrible. 37.5 true pass block grade. Lacks the lateral quickness needed to stay in front of players, and I just think that's his biggest issue. And you have to be able to pass block in the NFL, or you're going to turn out to be Josiah Vainea for the Miami Dolphins, who is like a 12 pass block grade, and Miami obviously has not been very good. Next up is Emmanuel Pregnon, late bloomer. Transferring to Oregon gets all the eyes on you. So if you're good, and they see it. Pregnon is one of the stock up candidates, but it hasn't happened yet in the draft community overall. I think it's slowly starting to happen. 90.8 pass block grade, 0 sacks, 0 hits, and 2 hurries on the year. 78 overall grade, run grade, sorry. And well, my biggest thing is, like, don't overlook this guy. He could probably be a top 100 player. And I think people are going to put him much higher than that. I might not get there, but like, he's legit. Next up is Jaden Roberts, big, burly, unathletic people mover. Like, I don't know what more to say. Strength and power are calling cards. Issues are, glaring. Feet, foot speed, and first step. Lateral movement is just not there. Movement in general is just not there. And that's a very normal Alabama thing. They have guys like that every single year. Next up is Jake Slaughter from Florida, one of the safest players in the class. Tons of starting experience. I would like to see him add some weight, but not lose his overall speed, if that's possible. He's a really good pass blocker. He's a leader. He's smart. All the underrated intangibles. He might not have the insane athleticism, but he has the underrated intangibles where he's just been there doing it really good for a long time. Next up is Logan Jones out of Iowa. He was our dark horse, older prospect, but at interior offensive line, I think that's okay. 2024, he was had an 83.6 PFF grade, which is fourth, and 2025 he has an 86.3 PFF grade, which is first. Definitely a my guy, because he was a dark horse, but he just doesn't make mistakes. He's a high floor player with a mauling run blocking background, 86.7 pass block grade. Like, I'm just like, this guy is overlooked. So overlooked. So was his teammate on the defensive line that we'll talk about, Aaron Graves. But yeah, I really like Logan Jones. I think he's legit. All right, last two guys. First one is going to be the interior stock up candidate. First interior stock up candidate, Olai Vavega Ione, and we're going to call him Vega. The athlete in this body is insane, because you just see 6'4", 330 damn near. Should not be able to move this good for this size. Run blocking is super impressive. Power, finish, no bad plays. Technique is just great. Showed that he doesn't deserve best interior offensive. Showed that he deserves to be the best interior offensive lineman so far. And this is just, I don't know how other to describe this. This is a bad man, like freaky athlete with killer instinct. He's thick as hell. And strength, strength. Thick with 2 C's, guys. He can get after it. He has 1 pressure on the year, 0 sacks. He's going to be like, I don't pick an interior offensive lineman in the first round. We're gonna have a hard time keeping this guy out of there. So yeah, he's a stud, absolute stud. Next up is going to be Jennings Dunker, and I was low on Jennings Dunker, and that was because I thought he was a tackle. He's not a tackle. He's going to be a guard. And that's great, because he has the best mullet in football. And so obviously he's a cold-blooded killer. One of the most nasty players in football because of it. I mean, not because of the mullet, because he is. He struggles in pass pro, though. And that's why I don't think he can play tackle. and inside he should be fine because he's still a good athlete, a high level athlete. I was pretty tough on him during the summer scouting, like I said, and then I decided he was an interior offensive lineman, just like the rest of the world. I was not the only one that decided that. The reason was he just isn't that great at pass blocking, but as a run blocker, he is absolutely special. And in my opinion, will be a second rounder and could be even a late into the first rounder. Like I said, I don't take interior offensive linemen that early, but if you're going to, man, these guys can do it. All right, let me stop sharing. That was an hour and 15 minutes, honestly. I just talked about a ton of players, probably 120-ish players. So I was flying. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We've got a lot of stuff coming on. This is the offense. We're going to do the defense, of course, for the stock up stuff. And then Cam, Dustin, all of us, we're going to keep doing our videos. Cam's going to put up power rankings next week. Dustin and me are going to continue doing college football stuff. We've been active on Twitter. Go check it out. We've been active in our Discord. All that stuff is in our bio if you go to our page, so you can see it. And also, I think it's in the description on this video. So go check those things out. But we really appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and I hope you'll have a good one. See you on the next one.